You all rise, please, for the national anthem. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody would like to make a motion to approve the agenda or change it or switch it or?
We did get one email from Brian asking us to table number 7. It's still being reviewed, I think.
On the action items, must be.
Action items number 7.
You want that pulled? Okay. Anything else?
Motion to approve with that change.
Second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Board meeting minutes from April 7th. How's that? Anybody got anything to say or change?
They look good.
I've read them. They're lengthy, but good. So I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to accept the minutes from the board meeting April 2nd. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Work group session, April 14th.
I did have one typo in these. I wrote BEN instead of BEN. So it's fixed.
Okay.
Anything else?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Whoever, come on up, whoever.
How you doing, Greg? Good morning, Commissioners. My name is John Haynes, and I reside in Houston, downwind from the proposed Olson sand mine. And I've now attended several meetings on this issue. With the change to the sand mine density ordinance change from a compromise that was struck 9 or 10 years ago, I believe it was 2015, was broken. So here we are again with a motion to restore the half-mile ordinance tabled for further review. Commissioner Johnson has used the argument that this is what Winona County is doing, and we should follow what Winona County is doing. So I reached out to a friend of mine who sat on the Winona County Planning and Zoning Commission for many years and has just recently stepped down from that seat to run for the Minnesota State Senate seat 26, Commissioner Carlson. She did some checking to make sure her knowledge was current on what Winona County is doing. I now agree with Commissioner Johnson. Houston County needs to pass a moratorium halting all future sand mines, just like Winona County did. Commissioner Johnson has repeatedly suggested that Houston County should follow Winona County's lead on this, and currently there is a moratorium for no further sand mines in Winona County. This would do a much better job of protecting the resources of our lovely home. Speaking about other counties, are the members of this board aware of the federal fines issued by the EPA in Wabasha County recently? The issue went directly to what I've been trying to explain to this board. The fines concern violations of the SIP 2.5 PM and SIP 10 PM federal regulations. Agriculture is considered in this, gentlemen and ladies. Now, anyone who's ever drug a disc through a field knows that there can be a lot of dust. We need to preserve our airshed and spend it wisely. as sand mined under the best conditions is going to release some particulate matter, and for what, a handful of jobs at best? I don't see how this is best utilization of the valuable resource. We may need it someday to lure business to Houston County and provide real jobs for our children and grandchildren, so we don't have to drive to the cities for holidays. So in closing, I will say, seeing as how the original compromise has been broken, we find ourselves revisiting an old issue. Let's just pass a moratorium banning all future sand mines. Thank you.
Here you go. You have a 9:05 appointment for the truck. Yep, yep. Cindy,
You want, yeah,
we have a 9:05 appointment from the
Okay.
DNR after that. Yep.
After?
Yeah, after you can come back.
okay.
No, after the DNR, you can come back.
If you wanna hear that, we can wait.
It might be a while.
Should take one more and
Yeah.
then,
Do theirs.
then do theirs?
We'll do Cindy and then you guys come up. Is that okay?
well, they're already coming up, so let's get it.
Okay, come on.
Come on.
It's 9:06, come on up. Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, thanks for having us here today to talk about the Houston County Trout Stream designations and the resolution that we received from everybody here. Just wanted to present kind of our goals and the timeline for the rest of this process. Give a couple examples of some of the designations we're proposing, and then answer any questions that the board has for us.
You're Melissa?
I am Melissa, sorry. Yep, this is Dean Perone.
Okay.
Well, Melissa's the area supervisor. I'm the statewide stream habitat supervisor.
Yeah, I think I've emailed you a couple times, maybe.
Yep. All right, so just a little background information. This is a statewide process, and it typically occurs every 5 years. Unfortunately, due to kind of COVID and some other timeline issues with upper level management, the last designations happened in 2016. So it's been almost 10 years now that we've done any. And the goal is basically go around and reevaluate our area, see if there's any new resources that warrant any protection or designation based on our rules. And then we do a lot of pre-field work collection, so we deploy water temperature loggers. We have fish data that helps inform this. We also use just aerial imaging, so like winter imagery where the streams aren't frozen over, we can see that there's water with spring flow. And I would just also add that in the last 10 to 15 years, overall, we've seen an improvement in our trout streams. And our spring flow has improved. Our streams are getting colder. And we think it's attributed to better land use practices since the 70s. And also just our hydrology or groundwater has been recharged from a lot of the recent rain events. And by recent, I kind of mean the last 15, 20 years. We've seen more of these heavier rain events that have recharged our groundwater. So improvement to our trout streams and springs, which is great to see. And kind of the goal for us going around reevaluating, knowing that those can change over time. So this is the timeline already that's been completed. So we've collected data. We have to have a management plan for each of these streams. And then we created these designation proposals. And I'll give an example of one of the maps here soon. We have the landowner notification phase. This is a requirement of ours for the designation, and it's a 90-day comment period. It ended March 16th, although I'm still receiving emails, phone calls, still communicating with landowners. There's been kind of a request from Houston and Fillmore County to extend that, and there is like a public comment period coming up. So there's still opportunities for landowners or other entities to still comment, and that's not necessarily just closed March 16th. We just kind of had to have that deadline for that requirement of the 90-day comment period. Leading up to that, we also sent out the proposals to townships, counties, and some local politicians, just kind of knowing that landowners often contact people that they know. Who's this Melissa Wagner sending me a letter? Like, what is this about? So often they'll go to someone they know, like, their local SWCD office and start asking questions. So we felt it was important that everybody was informed of this information leading up to them getting a letter in the mail. Here's an example proposal that was mailed out. This is Eighton Creek. And we crudely designate by section, which kind of makes this clunky, and it has in the past. And a lot of the ones in Houston County, the sections we're proposing are like the furthest upstream part of a lot of these streams, maybe that are already designated. And so this is an example proposal that was sent out. The blue lines would be the designated trout stream, and the green lines would be the designated trout stream tributary. So the blue line is where we might have water temperature data, fish data, and then if within those sections that the blue line flows through, anything that feeds and that has a defined channel or defined bed and bank that feeds into that blue trout stream would be considered a tributary. So those are those green lines. Just a summary of the efforts in Houston County, as we are also doing this in Winona and Fillmore. Roughly 37.4 miles of the trout streams and the tributaries. The tributaries really add kind of those miles on. We have 22 different streams. 168 households were notified, so everybody received letters that would be along any of those trout streams or tributaries. We have received about 35 emails or phone calls or letters. One was a petition. So about 41 households reached out, which is about 24% response. And not all are opposed. There's some in support of these proposals as well. And we've been responding to, again, continuing to respond to emails, phone calls, and people that are reaching out. So the future timeline, which I think is kind of important for people, we're kind of at like step 2 of probably 10 steps. And so I think when there was, people heard about the March 16th deadline, they kind of got worried like, March 17th, these would all be designated. So we are planning on doing a press release in the near future, and that's where we would have a public comment period where anybody could go online, see these maps, make comments, and I would, landowners included in this in the public comment period. After that, we're planning to review the proposals, comments, and data to make a packet of determinations to move forward onto the next phase. And so some of them, we might drop the proposal based on the information we've received from the landowners. It's been really valuable information. Some of these areas are landlocked where we are not going onto people's properties and trespassing. We're accessing them at road crossings, looking at aerial maps. So like trying to gather as much information as we can. Landowner calls like, oh, it's dry like halfway up the section. So we're making modifications to these proposals. I'll give an example of that here soon. We might table it, like, okay, we don't have enough information to justify this proposal at the time, or we might modify them as I described, or pass it on to the next phase. And then each of these proposals will go through a, pretty lengthy review of the different levels of managers within DNR Fisheries, and then ultimately our Commissioner's Office. And then we actually have to start the rulemaking process, which is another lengthy, I believe it's a year long, no?
It's a significant amount of time, probably 90 to 120 days, so.
Which also includes public comment, public meetings if there's the requests. So again, we're at the little earlier phase of this. Just a little bit more information, because the next few slides I'm going to be talking about public water courses and then the designated trout streams. So the public water course inventory, and this is something that's determined by the Division of Ecological and Water Resources. And then that's what they use to kind of determine their jurisdiction for whether you need like a DNR waters permit or different types of other activities. And then we have designated trout streams, and these are determined by the DNR Fisheries and Wildlife Division. So all of our current designated trout streams are considered public waters already. And then many of the proposed trout streams that we're planning on, and I'll show maps that'll explain this a little bit better, but are already public waters. So they're kind of two different things. And we don't really have much that we jurisdict with just the designated trout stream portion. You know, it's just used for our management purposes. How other entities or divisions or agencies use that information to then set their guidance. We don't really have much say in that. But so some of the proposed trout streams are not public waters, but will be added if they are designated. We kind of talked about that. It will trigger a DNR waters permit, and also the Minnesota buffer law has used that public waters map. If you look at the public waters map and the buffer map, they're identical. So they're using that public waters map to inform where the buffer would be required. Could be adopted by Houston as a tributary into the shoreline ordinances. And there's another process that Ecological and Water Resources is going through to update their public waters statewide. They are going through quasi-alphabetically, since we're going through this process in, I'm not sure how many counties statewide. They're kind of letting our process go ahead, so we're not to confuse people. But they are two different tasks. So here's the Houston County current trout stream designations. Again, blue is the designated trout streams, green are the designated trout stream tributaries. This would be the additions. So the pink, I changed the color so they're more easy to identify. The pink would be new blue lines or new designated trout streams. And the purple would be the new designated trout stream tributaries. You can see again, it's kind of like these smaller streams that are feeding some of our larger trout streams, and then we also have some of the streams that are flowing down into Iowa, which just kind of looking back into my management documents, they just weren't a priority to, manage these streams flowing directly into Iowa. Iowa is very limited on the number of trout streams they have, and so we felt that it was important to help protect streams and water flowing down into theirs as well, because we're kind of at that upper headwaters where it's that really cold water, a lot of spring flow. So then next I'm going to overlay the public waters that shows what is already currently designated as public waters. And you can see here that most of them are covered and very few kind of remain that would be new adds to that public waters layer. I'm just going to go through two examples just to kind of give you an idea what we're looking at and some of the information we have. And we do have, information on each one of these proposals. So if there's more interest and information that you guys would like to see, just please feel to reach out. So here's Burns Valley Creek. This is one that's kind of in Houston and Winona County. This is the current map as far as designation goes. So you don't see any blue or green lines. The blue circles, I guess, would be our identified springs. And then here's the map of, Lane and Burns Valley. So they would be newly designated trout streams with the pink. The circles, I can't remember now what I made these. I believe the circles are where we have the water temperature data. And then the star is where we have fish data from. So we have pretty good data to support this one. This is the current public water course or public waters map. So again, already public waters, very little would change for these particular landowners as far as, the requirements.
So the shoreland rule is in effect for that anyway, right?
I would believe so.
Okay. Somebody's nodding back.
Our local area expert
Yeah.
nodded yes. so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's our water temperature data, what a typical table looks like. We map it for, this is particular for brown trout, so the red line is the water temperature mean for daily water temperature. The blue would be where range of growth, brown trout would do well. Yellow is range of stress, and lethal range is in the orange. So you can see that this falls well within the range of growth for brown trout, and I would anticipate brook trout as well. And then here's example of some of the fish data that we have on some of these streams. There's the brook trout and brown trout at the top. You can see that brook trout were present in the 1990 and the 2017 survey, so it supports that they were able to survive. And we do have updated fish data for this that we haven't completed the report for. And then, so this is the Burns Valley Creek water temperature data. So the first one was Lane Valley. Again, showing that brown trout would do well here based on the water temperature. Here's Eitzen Creek, another example. And this is an example of one where we have received correspondence from a couple of landowners where the water is dry or no longer flowing further up. And so we have plans to remove some of the sections from our proposal. So this is the current trout stream designation. The upper right is where Eitzen Creek starts. So the lower part of it is already designated. And as we add, this would be the sections that we're proposing to add. And the orange is, again, the public waters map already.
So the green is what you're gonna add.
Those blue, those 4 sections, I'll show you next. This is better. This is the pink is where we're proposing to add. The star is where we have, I believe, the fish data, and shortly upstream of that is where landowners have said it's dry. And so this section up here, if it's dry, let's say above the star, we would remove the pink line above the star, which would ultimately remove the pink line from that particular section. And then those tributaries would be removed. So this is just an example of where we've used that information from landowners to better refine these proposals. I don't want to be managing a trout stream that's dry. So this is important information for us, and appreciate the people that have reached out. This is just the fish data from Eitzen Creek, showing we have brook trout as well historically. And then here's the water temperature data from where that star was. And then as landowners have contacted me, I've been hopefully supplying them with some good information. Even if they're opposed and don't really ask a question, I've been trying to provide additional information on learning more about the goals of these, as well as some of the things that already exist on their land. So that's all I have. If you guys have any questions or.
If I could add, I'm in charge of the statewide process, and this process, and Melissa did a good job of explaining that it's meant to be interactive and adaptive. So we are seeking input from landowners originally to make sure we get it right. We don't want to surprise anyone, and we don't want to get things wrong. So we are trying to be interactive and adaptive. We will have a general news release coming out to get rest of the public comment in. This is, just like Melissa pointed out, there's several phases to be interactive in this process and to move forward. So, we appreciate the time to be here today and help us explain what we're trying to do and why. So thank you.
I guess I got a quick question. So the properties that are being expanded on, have you guys done personal site visits and met with the landowners, or is it based off just mapping?
Yeah, most of our on the ground has been like at road crossings. So we have not gone to like each individual property. We do have, I've met with a couple people on site, landowners on Duck Creek, and I'm trying to think of if there's been any others. Some of them we have been to because we've done like fish, so anywhere we have fish sampling, you know, we've accessed properties there. But basically using mostly road crossings to deploy our water temperature loggers, which obviously then can inform upstream of there what the temperature is.
Because some of the contact that I've had was from landowners that, you know, they're saying it's a dry creek, et cetera, and they don't understand why it would be expanded the way that it is. So
Yeah.
I think the more you can get out and maybe actually
Yeah, and I'm
physically see them properties would be helpful.
I'm definitely willing to do that, and we are planning to go to some places for sure in Fillmore County this spring to better pinpoint where that goes dry. That's the problem, is a lot of it's kind of the landlocked upper parts reaches where we can't gain access to, and that's why this landowner comment period has been really important to kind of help they know what's on the land, and it's what's been that way for the last 40 years. So I guess if you have any people reaching out, and again, they reach out to someone they know, but it'd really be helpful if they reach out to me and we can either just, you know, verbally kind of figure out where that starts or stops, or I can definitely do a site visit if they're willing to have me go out there.
You have a business card you can leave with us?
I do not.
We have your contact on here,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the slide too.
Also,
Nice to be able to give it to them.
yeah,
I can bring some by or mail some to you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
as Melissa pointed out earlier too, one of our issues is by rule and statute, we have, our designation process is by town, or by section, so we don't have the fine detail to designate like we'd like to. So it does, especially when you get into tributaries, it does get a little, the downstream portion in this section is definitely a trout stream, but the upstream portion or a tributary may not. But so it looks a little goofy at times because it looks like we're trying to designate a trout stream that's dry or not full, and it's because of how we can designate. If we had a different process in statute, we could probably do a more precise job of losing some of those tributaries and stuff, so it's.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of why they originally were not added initially, is like, oh, we don't really know where this is, you know, so they were left off for, you know, we know it's trout stream down here, and we know there's water here, let's do these bottom 3 sections, but the 4th section, but still important to, you know, protect those waters and use them in our management activities. So, you know, we get a lot of questions like, what's the pro? We have a lot of our funding is kind of tied to trout stream designations as far as cold water. We have our trout stamp that supplies a lot of funds for active management and stocking, and we also seek funds from the Lessard Council for purchasing easements on our trout streams, and most of them are specifically tied to trout stream designations. So there's some advantages to have these actually mapped as what we believe them to be.
What's the temperature that you're looking at to determine trout stream?
It's kind of a thermal maximum, so I didn't explain it very well, but the graph that I showed you, we take water temperatures from June 1st to September.
Yeah.
And that's when thermally the trout could potentially be the most stressed. So if it the water never reaches that level of stress or lethal limit during the summer months, you know, then you know that that's pretty cold water. And so that's kind of, you know, when you asked about if we've gone out all these properties and met with landowners, you know, some of it we're kind of going around and collecting data, and we don't really even know what it's gonna be. You know, we put a logger there and we've maybe driven across it a few times, and then we get the temperature data back and it's like, wow, that's really cold water. Like, this could definitely support trout. We have brook trout now at our disposal at the Peterson Hatchery. We've developed a new strain of brook trout that they're the only native trout species in southeast Minnesota. They once flourished likely in all of these streams, and our goal is to restore them back to many of these really, really cold water streams where brown trout don't even like to be. And so that's kind of another goal of ours too, is more of these really cold trout streams we can find. We could also do some restoration efforts, even if there is no public access, to replant some of these brook trout.
So you would do that. I just have a couple of questions about that. So, because you're getting public input from those landowners that know what they have. And then what you might find is when you actually go out to do the project or are on site, not looking at a map, it might look differently? Or is it a possibility that any of this projected need or the expansion wouldn't go through? I mean, you're not 100%, this is what you're going to do in this area?
Absolutely, there will be several points to refine this process. So if Melissa goes out with a landowner, this doesn't meet our needs.
Okay.
Our definition of a trout stream, it doesn't have the cold water, it doesn't have the fish, whatever. She'll remove it from her proposal to me, the statewide, and then I'll remove it. Or I might say this doesn't meet it and tell Melissa no. And then we have the commissioner's review as well. So, but the most important point is what Melissa will work at, is working with the landowners and that's one of the reasons we reach out, is like, do we have this right? And if we don't have it right, we will remove it from our proposal. That's when we get to the rulemaking process, that's kind of our hard, that we believe these are forward and this is what we want to go forward. Right now, it's like, these are what we believe are trout waters and could be trout waters, and we would like to bring this forward, but we have a process to make sure we got it right, so.
Okay, so that would be more like within the realm of your project. What my question is you don't go out to a site, try to mitigate the lethal range of temperature of the water or something, and then if it's not working for you, walk away? You wouldn't even start it, is that right?
Yeah,
On
we have,
behalf of landowners, I'm just thinking, you don't want somebody working on it from the DNR and then they leave it half done or something. So it's a committed project once you get there and
yeah, I guess.
it's gonna be that area, right?
It's what our current conditions are. So some of the requirements of the designations that we have data to inform them, we do have water temperature data on every single one of them. Some we have fish data, some we don't. But that water temperature basically says like trout could live here. But we can't say that 50 years from now that, that wouldn't change. And part of this statewide process, there are streams statewide that are being undesignated. So it kind of goes both ways. Luckily for our area, we're in really good conditions and our conditions are improving as far as trout stream goes. So we're definitely more on the adding side of things, which is great to see. But we would not propose, if there's water temperature data shows that it's in the lethal, I'm not gonna propose it as a trout stream.
So,
Is that information shared with landowners readily?
I have been sharing, people that have been reaching out, I've been sharing similar maps. The maps that were originally provided are pretty crude, they don't show parcel data, because that's kind of public or private information. But if they've been reaching out, I've been sharing like, okay, this is where your parcel data actually falls within this proposal. We see there's a spring here, kind of giving more like a zoomed in version for each person. And then providing, some of our background information. But yeah, if there's ever asked for any of this information, we do have it for each one of these streams we're proposing.
And what's the timeline for this start to, it's monitored forever or?
the trout stream designation process?
Well, I know you have June through September, but I'm talking about just this whole initiative. Is this like from here on out taken upon the DNR? Is that how that works? Once,
You mean, what phase?
Yeah, what-
That's part of what my question would be is, what phase is it? Did you make the determination what's gonna be designated new proposed trout stream?
Yeah,
Probably
You're
then
in your first phase?
first, we're probably in phase two, the
Phase two.
first phase is like getting our information. Phase two, landowner coordination, gathering that information. Phase three, public comment
Yep,
period, getting more support, opposition,
Right.
continuing to collect information, could do site visits all spring, summer. And then the next phase is for our office to kind of sit down and like, okay, these are, like, we have really good information here, these are the ones we want to
yep.
pass through. And then we have the other ones, whether they're tabled, dropped, modified. So that's probably
taken
phase
off, yeah.
4.
And then Melissa will hand it off to me and I'll bring it through the rest of the state process. We try to evaluate our trout stream waters, every 5 years. COVID and staffing shortages, set us back to the 10-year process. But, as Melissa's mentioned, we have streams coming off it and stream trout lakes that are coming off this list. Originally, this designation process was simply to inform trout anglers where trout were and where you needed to buy a trout license. It has since expanded with other agencies adopting designated trout waters to their regulatory, and that's where it gets a little complicated, is planning and zoning or MPCA may tie additional regulations to it. But as far as fisheries, Minnesota DNR, we really manage it as places where we can do restoration projects, invest money, have trout stocked or trout managed, and, so it's really comes from an angler viewpoint, from our point of view, but we do recognize that it has greater implications for others, so, yeah.
Yeah, because that's what we hear from landowners, that if this is determined to be trout stream
Yep.
designation, that's gonna change my property and what I can do with it.
If it's already a public waters inventory, the change is very
That-
small.
That's still under the shoreland rules, right?
Yeah, if it's if it's an undesignated public water inventory and through this process it get designated, then there is some changes. And we do have Nicole here, who's kind of an expert in our stream laws that could talk about any changes. But, yeah, that is a valid concern, and I understand that why people have concerns over that, so.
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys coming.
Yeah, no, we
You gave us
appreciate
a
you
lot of
having
good
us.
information. and
Yeah,
Is there any next steps you would like to see from us, other than continued communication, or?
Continue communication,
Okay.
and when
Work
we
with the
get
farm.
stuff, we'll just refer them to you and
Appreciate
give your
that.
That'd be
contact
great.
Landowners.
information.
Yep.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
the
Work with
contact
the landowners.
information would be.
yep, yeah, I can ship you some cards.
All right. Thank you
All
very
right.
much for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Can we ask any questions from the floor here? Or is this-
You can
grab me in the hallway comment.
if you have a question, or.
If you
Not to
want,
take
if you want to
everything.
ask them a question in the hallway, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Steve, did you want to mention that you're looking for interns?
Yeah, the Minnesota DNR sign interns, I think for this
That's
year, we've
closed.
already filled all our spots,
Thought I
but that's
saw you were
always,
still looking.
yeah, it's always a great opportunity.
Thank you.
Perfect.
My name is Cynthia Cresswell Hatley. Commissioners, when I consider how this ordinance was changed in 2025, there are a lot of concerns raised within me. The state of Minnesota hands down certain issues to be addressed by the local authorities, in this case, you, the commissioners. The sand mine density standard is one of these examples. We elect commissioners to make tough decisions with the expectation that they are looking out for the well-being of the residents of the county. You are the deciders that we rely on to protect our health, our livelihood, our safety, our environment, and our way of life. If you fail us, where do we turn to seek protection? Who then can we trust to look out for our best interests? On April 7th, at the commissioners' meeting, 2 commissioners mentioned that they were unaware of all the necessary information prior to the 2025 vote to eliminate the sand mine density standards. This is understandable. They were both new members to the board, and I know whenever I've been introduced as a new member of a committee, I've had to rely on other members to direct me until I feel settled in. I can understand how that may have been a factor here. However, now the issue has been presented once again, and facts have been presented to the board, and we are asking you to vote in favor of the Baker Iverson Hatley request. This amendment does not affect just the residents of the northwest corner of the county, but the entire county. It should not be taken lightly. When we allow clusters mining, we are not putting the protection of, and health of safety, livelihood, and way of life of the neighboring residents. In the 2025 amendment, if it's allowed to stand, it will be very difficult or even impossible to change down the road if it's ever necessary. I'm asking you to grant that the mine density standard be reverted back to the half-mile standard. Help the county keeping the mines from clustering in any area. Work towards having them spread out across the county. Sand isn't just needed in the northwest corner. The entire county uses sand. I strongly feel that the right thing to do is to vote in favor of the BIH, Baker, Iverson, Hatley, request for the half-mile mine density standard to ensure the health and safety of all residents while protecting the area rivers, the trout streams, environment, real estate values, water, both ground and surface waters. As I've mentioned earlier, this is a major decision that you are being asked to make. I ask that you either support and approve the request from Baker's, Iverson, Hatley for a 60-day or ask for a 60-day extension to gather the necessary facts you may feel that you need to vote. Generations to come will have to live with the decisions made today. Let it be the right decision for the majority of the residents of our county. Sand mine density standards were used to make a compromise between allowing sand mines and banning sand mines. This was made after hours of discussion. The one thing I ask you, and maybe the best, is if it wasn't broken, why did we need to fix it? Thank you. And I'm going to ask again if I can read my husband's, as long as I'm here. It's shorter. Is that a yes or a no?
Sure.
Okay? Okay.
All right. Commissioners, I'm having a difficult time trying to understand how an ordinance was changed to allow a third sand mine to be permitted along the historical scenic highway, also known as Highway 16. Right, and also right by the beautiful golf course by Rushford. Then approximately 6 months later, the same board denied permit for a solar system farm that would have grazing sheep around the panels because solar panels are unsightly. Where is the equal treatment here? In my opinion, the solar panels are temporary and can be removed down the road, where the destruction of a mine with a 220-foot high wall exposed to the world cannot be replaced back to its original state. The mine would be a lot more of an unsightly feature. Currently, Houston County has 8 permitted sand mines. I've taken the time to look at 5 of them in the county. Only one had equipment parked on the site that would be able to load a truck when the sand is going to be transported. The remainder of the mines look as if they hadn't had any activity for years. Are these permitted sand mines that are standing idle while they wait for the price of sand to go up, or are they trying to avoid the cost of reclamation? I don't feel that there is a need for another sand mine, especially right near the existing sand mine. It seems to me that if the state is directing an EAW that is needed for any proposed mine that is above 20 miles, it wouldn't be acceptable to cluster mines without any sand mine densities. If the clustering of mines will begin to take away the habitat of migrating birds coming back each year, the clustering mines will eliminate homes for wildlife in the impacted area, and these animals will be looking for new homes in a much safer area. Instead of issuing new sand mine permits, we need to utilize the existing sand mines we have. We also need to use the dredge sand from the Mississippi River for septic system construction and animal bedding before we take away from the wildlife and destroy the beautiful views that bring thousands of visitors to the area each year. I'm asking you to vote in favor of the Baker Iverson Hatley request to restore the half-mile mine density standard when you vote today. Save our wildlife, our aesthetics, and our tourism for another day and another generation. Thank you very much.
Hi, all. Mary Denzer, Yucatan Township. There are a couple of things I'd like to point out, and that is, first of all, that the half-mile density ordinance that we passed in 2000, all of us, passed in 2015, was really for all sand mines. That means all sands. Then in this one that was just passed, the quarter-mile density was split. The sand was split from industrial sand to commercial sand for unexplained reasons that I have some idea about, but we don't know. But that, a sand mine is a sand mine. If you go out your back door and there's a mine there, it doesn't matter what kind of sand you are mining. It's all just sand. So that was split off, and we don't know why. Okay, then I want to revisit the letter I wrote to you all, because there's public here that might not have heard about such things, and that is some information I got from the Court of Administrative Hearings in St. Paul. And Eric Johnson has copies of the 2 Minnesota statutes about public hearings. The first, number 375.51, this applies to the fact that the public was not adequately notified about the Houston County Commissioner's change in the ordinance of the sand mine density from half-mile to a quarter-mile. The violation of that ordinance should be enough to require you, the commissioners, to overturn the change in the density ordinance. The second law, number 394.37, that's the enforcement of the first regulation, 375.51. So it should be really kind of obvious what you need to do today, and today is the day to do that, because if there's been a violation, you want to overturn that, right? Yes, okay. The person I talked to at the Court of Administrations is waiting. He said, if you have any problems or questions, call him back. It was a lawyer up there, and this is the enforcement of Minnesota statutes. So I think the wise thing today to do is to just overturn it. If you want to revisit it or anything in the future, fine, but the public needs to be here. And so you should overturn it to the half-mile density for all sand mines. Thank you very much for your time.
Robin Yaffe Shumper from La Crescent Township. I don't have too much to say, but I do want to point out the lovely picture there, and by decreasing the density of our sand mines, we're going to lose a lot of this beauty in this county. And that's really important. But the thing that's really striking me here is that we've had several people speak who've got really good information. And I really believe that you in particular, Mr. Johnson, have made up your mind. You've spent most of the time on your cell phone, which I've been watching.
I've been looking at the information.
Well, you've been, yeah, it doesn't matter. You really need to listen. And that goes for me too. I think that when we had the frac sand fight years ago, and we were very active with that, and we recorded all of the meetings. That was before everybody had a smartphone or a tablet or a laptop at their desk to get distracted by what the people were saying. And I think that it's really important that we all listen to what our neighbors have to say and not come with preconceived ideas of what the opposition is going to say or do. We really need to stay open-minded here, and the biggest thing that we need to do in this instance, in my mind, is to preserve this county. We depend a lot on tourism. Jobs are changing all over the country, all over the world, and we can't, right now we may need sand, but in the future we may not. And if there are empty sand mines, and I see them all the time, sand mines that go unused, we have plenty of sand mines in this county. We don't need another, and to decrease the density is foolhardy. Thank you.
Robin Jones.
Robin. Okay.
Linda Griggs from Yucatan Township. I'm asking today to restore the half-mile density protections that served this county well for nearly a decade. The public hearing for the G-Cube amendment simply did not meet the standard of meaningful public engagement. It was held the same night the amendment was introduced with almost no one in the room. That is not a real public hearing. That is not how this county has handled major ordinances in the past. And it is not how a countywide change with long-term consequences should ever be adopted. One of the most serious consequences of the G-Cube amendment is the removal of mine density limits. As mining or construction companies follow a vein of usable sand from property to property, nothing prevents a string of sand mines from being developed side by side or directly across the road from one another, as was pointed out at the Planning Commission meeting. That is not a hypothetical. That is how sand deposits work, and once clustering begins, the impacts multiply. More truck traffic, more dust, more noise, more groundwater disturbance, and more disruption to rural neighborhoods. Density limits are the safeguard that prevent this. In spite of what Commissioner Johnson says, density must be controlled by ordinance. Conditional use permits cannot do that job. CUPs regulate processing, hours, equipment, haul routes, setbacks, but they do not and cannot regulate how close mines can be to each other. Only the zoning ordinance can do that. It would not be fair to mine owners to try to regulate density through CUPs. One applicant might be denied because another mine already exists nearby, while a different applicant in another part of the county might be approved. That consistency is exactly why density must be set in the ordinance, where the rule applies equally to everyone. That is why the 2015 ordinance included a half-mile spacing requirement. It was a compromise built through years of hearings, public input, and careful consideration of cumulative impacts. Minnesota law gives this board full authority to rescind or replace a zoning amendment at any time, as long as proper notice and a public hearing are provided. Nothing prevents you from restoring the protections that citizens relied on for nearly a decade. Commissioners, the people of this county have spoken. The people of Houston County have told you clearly what they want. 267 residents signed a petition asking you to return to the 2015 density standards. And I am confident that had we continued the petition drive, many more would have signed. The board should trust the people of this county. They showed up, they signed their names, and they asked you to correct a process that did not give them a fair chance. I respectfully ask you to vote for the Baker-Hatley-Iverson amendment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rebecca Christensen, Yucatan Valley. I'm here today to not only make request for the half-mile setback to be returned, but to voice my concerns for not only our property, but our neighborhood and our ecosystem in general. As far as our property goes, it is somewhat unique in that we are bordered by the highway, the river, and a protected trout stream for Dell Creek, as well as a wetland at the base of the hill being proposed for the sand mine. It is because of this that I have numerous fears about the amount of cumulative damage that could be done here. We are downhill from the proposed mine, and as we know, everything runs downhill. Over the years, without any activity uphill at all, we have noticed a creeping of the sand coming across our north field, plainly visible on Google Earth. This leaves us with a sandy spot that will not grow a healthy crop. With disturbance, it is my fear we will lose the field for planting. The wetland is at the north end of that same field. It isn't large, but it is a vital part of our land and our wildlife. Just to the west of the wetland on the riverside is a sheared sand wall, which we have watched slough sand into the river for years. This is right at the back of where the proposed mine is. To the east of this field is Ferndale Creek, a protected trout stream, which has been a watering hole to the wildlife as well. The river and creek, as well as our surrounding vegetation, have attracted many animals, including bear. And I never thought I'd want to see bear on my property, but they're there. And especially during drought, many family members have even caught northern at the point of where the creek meets the river. Upstream from us on Ferndale Creek is a trout hatchery. Trout are highly susceptible to temperatures, as we just heard, changes in their water, and will die if that changes even a few degrees. It is my fear that flocculants and surfactants may be used to keep the dust down. And just as an aside, flocculants and surfactants are not something that mine owners need to report to us that they are using or name the type that they're using. So, hello, PFAs. The mine site, let's see, that could over time have many effects on the water temperature and quality. In 30 years of living here, we have seen every kind of wildlife that Minnesota has to offer. Some I didn't think even lived here. There is nothing quite as thrilling or scary as hearing a noise on your porch and believing it to be a possum, only to nearly open the front door to a large mama black bear eating your Oreo jelly and just checking out your home. Or having a mama bear and her babies wandering the property, eating berries, your compost pile, and going for a swim after. We have enjoyed having a quiet, restful place to call home, and I know our wildlife doesn't consider us a threat. So I fear the added activity alone with all the noise, disturbance, and vibration will drive our wildlife away from our neighborhood. Our bald and golden eagles will no longer rest nearby and train the babies to fly and hunt there, and the deer and turkeys may also move on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Terry Bernhardt. I live in Spring Grove, and I'm here with just a cautionary tale. My brother lives in Arkansas, Wisconsin, so it's the Pepin area, and fracking was allowed in. It had been voted out, but one of the neighbors decided to sell out. And they reapproached, and Pepin accepted it, what they thought was a good deal. And part of it was money for the roads. Okay, so the fracking went in. They did notify us on the days that they were using the equipment. But the pounding screamed, all the animals, the cows, the chickens were freaking out. Two of the chickens just rolled over and died. It's very, very loud. It's not a simple system. It's a huge pounding, slamming, earth moving equipment when they use it. And this continued. Water was an issue. In 2 years, they left. The roads were ruined. Pepin had to put money into the roads. My brother and his wife live there, and when I watch their farm, they have 4 huge tub machines on their counter that creates the fresh water for them for the next day. These machines are very expensive, and they're also loud. So you play them at night, and there again, that family is being affected every single day by things that were left from the fracking that was done. And the other thing is, my brother has this beautiful, beautiful land, this beautiful process he spent his life creating with his family. And now when you look up, you see these empty, huge sand roads, and the mountains are half bounced away. And so you see these empty spaces which has nothing but sand on it. So thank you for the time.
Steve Hartwick, Bunny Creek Township. The 2040 Comprehensive Land Use Plan Update has a criteria to consider, Chapter 5, the implementation, has a criteria to consider when reviewing an amendment. And I don't think when the reduction in the density amendment went through that the criteria was met. One of them is that the criteria is that the change results in development that is inconsistent with or negatively impacts surrounding properties. Another one is that the change is necessary due to identified or demonstrated need. I'd like to emphasize demonstrated need. I don't think that was done. I don't think that criteria was met either. In the Houston County zoning ordinances, Section 27, mineral extraction, it says to minimize land use conflicts and potential nuisances caused by mine operations. Now, I would think that to minimize nuisances, that the density issue would be real applicable here. So you have written policy to follow. I just hope you will do that. Thank you.
Okay, I think maybe we'll move on. Oh, one more. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Jackie Baker. My husband and I are applicants on your agenda for the text amendment today. No, did I say that right? Yeah. My husband and I are applicants for the text amendment on your agenda today. We are here this morning to respectfully ask you to approve the amendment to restore the half-mile density standard between all sand mines. Our family depended on the half-mile spacing for protection because we already live next to a sand mine. My 12-year-old daughter rides horses, and she doesn't think her horse is going to like the noise of another sand mine. It takes a great deal of time and energy to stand up for something you believe in. Almost everyone in this room today is here because they believe in the importance of the half-mile density standard. The nearly 270 people that signed the petition believe in something. They believe in the importance of that half-mile density standard. They signed that petition for various reasons. They have families here. They have young kids to protect, like Corey and I. They own property in Houston County, and they care deeply about preserving the county's natural resources, just like the land use plan describes and prioritizes. Corey and I believe that appropriate spacing between sand mines is the right path forward. Restoring the half-mile density standards helps achieve reasonable and responsible balance between protecting the environment, the residents, the families, while still allowing access to mineral resources. This amendment is about thoughtful planning, long-term land stewardship in the county, and ensuring that development happens in a way that respects both the people, the land. We respectfully ask you to support our amendment and just reinstate the half-mile density standard to the way it was for over a decade. Thank you.
Okay, I guess we'll move on. That will be the end of public comment. Thank you. Appointments, we got that out of the way. Consent agenda. Does everybody think about that?
I do have one thing on that consent agenda, number 3. It's been requested by the department head to take no action on that item at this time. That will come back to the council or the commission at a later date. So that's number 3, to take no action on that.
So we should just pull that from the
Poll
consent.
number 3.
Correct, yep.
With that being pulled, I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
So
Whoop, what?
we're reviewing and approving payments as well on this consent.
Oh,
Anybody
okay.
have any questions on those or? I don't, but
I went through that.
You guys get a chance to look it all over? Okay? All right, that's included. Let's see, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Action items. Number 1, considering approving a tax abatement for Bullfrog Properties LLC, parcel 26.0151.000 in the amount of $7,210.
Alright, yep, so this is for Bullfrog Properties, or Fat Pat's in Spring Grove. If you remember last year, we did an abatement for the new construction value for that. With the two systems, it got corrected in the one system, and when it transferred to the tax system, it didn't like it, so it just kicked it out and kept the incorrect value in there. So that's where this abatement comes from. It basically is, it reverted back to the wrong value because it didn't like the new value.
So this would correct it.
This would correct it, yeah, that's what the abatement's for. It would correct the correction that we already tried to do last year.
so in the future, what are you gonna, how's that gonna be
Well,
rectified?
normally we run reports, or I run reports and I catch 99% of these, and then we have to go in manually and enter them. This one, for some reason, didn't pop up on that report. But, you know, we are going with the new tax system, and that will no longer be an issue. So I guess just ask
Motion to
for,
approve.
This is for Fat Pat's.
yep,
Motion to approve.
Got a motion on the floor to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, consider approving the 2025 feedlot officers' annual report and financial report and authorization signature. Jeremy Burt.
So in front of you, you have the annual report form and the financial. To go through, we did meet our minimal requirements and exceed that a little bit. Last year was, we finished up the registration cycle. We did lose roughly 20 feedlots. So we will take another little hit in the financial part, but we will gain some from the performance credits. 2 years ago, we had 41 performance credits. This year, we end up with 56. So that should be a couple thousand gaining there. Those performance credits come from hosting 2 county feedlot workshops joint with Filmer and Winona County. Also mentoring I did some mentoring of the Winona County feedlot officer. So that's where we're getting those extra. Our funding, we did lose roughly 19,000 coming into this year from last year, so hopefully gain a little bit of that back. And then we will lose a little bit more with the loss of feedlots. The breakdown of our compliance inspections, we're required to do 21. We did 22 compliance. We had 2 non-funded sites that got, and then we had a couple complaint initiated inspections. Then we also had a couple other complaints that we turned over to the MPCA, and they're handling them as ongoing. Going forward, we did host our own feedlot workshop this year. We actually had better attendance at that than the 2 we had with the 3 counties combined last year. So we'll keep the credits coming from that. And then I did a feedlot newsletter. That was the first one that had been done in about 6 or 8 years. And then going forward, we're just going to do, I'll do a feedlot workshop 1 year, and then the next year we'll do joint with Winona and Filmer County again, try and find a closer, more convenient area for everybody to attend. And then from Pete's review, the MPCA guy, he his comment on it was, overall, Houston County, Jeremy continues to do good work for Houston County, has solid understanding on how feedlots work and how to read site compliance. Keep up the good work, Houston County. Any questions?
Yeah, I see you lost about 20 of them from 50 to 300 animal units. You went from 234 down to 214, correct?
Yep, that's actually kind of a statewide trend, losing some. We have some.
Everybody's been going down?
Yep, everybody's going down and some actually, these are sites that they were stocked at that and that's what they were permitted for. And they've actually, some maybe have been empty or have reduced and now they've just updated to show what they're actually at too, so.
We have 29 of them at 300 animal units and more. That goes up to how high? Up to 300?
300 to 999. Once they hit 1,000, then they would be the CAFO, the state status.
So we got two that are over 1,000 and 29 at 300.
300 to 999, yes.
It's nice to know how many feedlots we actually have in the county.
Yep, we did gain a few that were not registered, that should have been required to register. We did gain a few of them last year among what we lost, so it would have been actually worse. I think we gained like 6 of them that should have been registered that hadn't. So, and we had more than the 275. This was at the beginning of the year cutoff. There have been more that have filled out, so we're probably more like a 15 loss.
I think it kind of reflects what kind of a trend we're in here with the beef prices and the beef numbers being down. We're losing feedlots.
Yep.
People are getting out of it.
Yep.
And it's very expensive to get into, so it makes it hard to rebuild.
The average age of the farmer keeps going up too, so.
Right.
Well, there ain't too many 60-year-olds gonna be around much longer.
I just want to give you credit for those meetings you've been putting on. They were really well attended. I was at one of them. They're really good.
Yeah,
I think that was a good thing to do. A lot of guys that I talked to appreciated those. So
How do we communicate? How do people know about those?
I don't know.
I sent out the newsletter with the invitation in it and then sent out some emails and stuff, so.
Good.
Well, it was well attended. I think you should do that every year just to keep everybody informed.
Yep. Yeah, for an estimated number, last year when we did one in Chatfield, we had 28 producers there from the 3 counties combined. And then in Lewiston one, we had 31 from all 3 counties combined, and we had 39 just for the Houston County.
I enjoyed Kevin Keener's talk on that, on water quality and how that works and the process of, the 40 years it takes to get down to the.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one as Dad updates to see how it keeps going too. So.
Yep. He's very good at that.
Yes, yes.
Got a lot of good information. So.
Yep.
Well, would somebody like to make a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve the CFO annual report.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, real quick too, if I may, I've been out with Jeremy a couple times on some feedlot inspections, and I just wanted to kind of give a kudos to him. He does a great job with that, and has a good connection with the farmers, so he does a good job with his inspection.
Well, he's still walking, so nobody shot him.
Yeah.
Is that an option? That's terrible.
I think it might be now. Thanks, Gov.
That ain't right.
Okay, moving on. Number 3, consider approving or denying the tax abatement to the zoning ordinance on the mine density standards.
Text
Burns and Hanson, PA, on behalf of Corey and Jackie Baker, Scott Havlick, and Cindy Creswell Havlick, and Rosemary Iverson. Amelia?
Thanks. I heard tax abatement and I thought Luke went first.
Oops.
So I guess I just want to maybe reiterate a conversation Cindy and I had over what a text amendment actually is, and maybe that'll clarify some of the concerns. Yeah. So text amendments can be done two different ways, and the one avenue that we are most familiar with is that staff take on that, either at the direction of the board or just something that we feel is important to get amended in our ordinance. And kind of solar was one of those situations. But the alternative option is that an applicant can make an application where they do all the legwork. They identify the statement of need, the compatibility with the comp plan, and all the reasons that they feel that this project is necessary. And so that is what you guys reviewed last year in March, and then also the one you have in front of you now. And then they've also paid for it. So they move it along, but they do the legwork, and then staff just facilitates the process for them. And so the one we have in front of you today is for the text amendment to put the mindset back in place for industrial mining. So the language will say, new sand mining permits shall be limited to sites located no closer than a half mile from all existing permitted or legal non-conforming sand mines, and measurements shall be taken from the proposed boundary of the new site to the approved boundary of the existing site. And that was reviewed by the Planning Commission in the end of March.
Okay.
So I just want to make it clear, this last text amendment is just to revert it back to what it was before.
Correct.
The current.
So we're not gonna label construction or industrial.
The proposal was not to eliminate the definitions, so they will still exist in our ordinance, but within the setback, and I don't think there's an issue with that, but within the setback language, it's not going to be specific to industrial sand only as it currently stands.
But what would be the point to have the label construction or industrial if it doesn't matter?
There isn't one, but I don't think it hurts that it's
So I
there
mean,
either.
it's all sand mines, so it doesn't
Correct.
matter if it's construction or industrial. So there's no point in having a designated use for it. Okay.
I have a couple things to say.
Good time.
Thanks. So the agenda item that we approved last March said, because I wrote it down, consider approving a G-Cube text amended to zoning ordinance for sections 27.3, 27.8. So the agenda item description doesn't really list out the details of the amendment, although full information was listed in the packet. The agenda item descriptions, I'm just saying, could probably be more clear in the future so the public doesn't need to search for detailed information. After researching, because I've been the one, gotta look into this, it certainly appears that the appropriate notification process was followed in bringing the application forward. It was verified that public notice was published in the Argus on February 12th. Township officers were sent an official notice through an email document attachment per the standard process. And I've gone over this with Amelia. We know that was done. However, it can't be certain that the agenda item was clearly understood. So that's why I propose that we approve this amendment and put the setback requirement back into the ordinance. For further clarification, mining is not unregulated in the county. It still requires our CUP in the Ag Protection District, and all applications receive a specific or site-specific review. So as we move forward with our broader planning, as I mentioned in the last couple of meetings, for land use aligning with our comprehensive land use plan, I would also like to have further discussions to consider keeping consistent with any of the half-mile distance for new proposed mining sites, any of the discussion that we have with mining, along with are environmental, or considering a possible environmental impact, health, and well-being concerns that we had addressed in that petition. So this is when we start talking about all these things that we're supporting, that is possibly on prime land, prime ag land, that we still continue talking about this as a part of that piece. That's all I have to say.
Was that a motion?
Yes, it was.
So we have a motion to approve this text amendment.
I will second that.
Now we have a second. Any more discussion? Okay. Do we do this by roll call?
Sure.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
No.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on, number 4, consider awarding a project SAP 28-613-013 for an urban paving on County 13 in the city of Houston to BKC Construction in the amount of $2,347,102.33. 4 bids were received. Brian.
Cut back on a truck or two there.
Yes, so this is a joint project between Houston County and the city of Houston to rebuild our County 13 through Houston, and then it also involves redoing sidewalks, underground utilities, some laterals to houses, all kinds of stuff. So this project is roughly half the cost of this project is county with their state aid dollars, and then the remainder is the city. So I've been working with the city on this with their city engineer and city administrator. This project has gone to the city council. The city council passed a resolution on April 13th recommending that the county award this project. Because they have funding, we definitely want to have city on board with things. So the recommendation today is to approve the contract awarded to the low bid, which is BKC Construction in the amount that Greg read, $2,347,102.33.
Are you familiar with this construction firm?
We have not done any work with them previously. They are, I'm not sure if they're in the process or if they have bought out Zinke Construction out of the Crescent. Travis Zinke is working for him now. Travis has been the main contact for him.
Yep.
And we've definitely worked with Zinke a lot in the
Yep.
past.
All right. I make a motion, we approve the awarding this project.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. This is from Houston all the way to 10?
This is essentially County 13 within the city limits within Houston.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Same sign. Everybody's good.
Are they planting any new trees, Brian, or?
They are planting some trees, and they will be maintaining a lot of that stuff associated with that, so,
They're willing to maintain.
yes.
I know that's a concern on some of the projects, so.
Trees.
All right.
Yep, and one of the nice things there is that they do have wider boulevards.
Thank you.
Number 5, consider 3 flooring quotes by Hillier Commercial Floors for the following areas. North stairwell, $21,903.81. CCS lobby is $8,000. East stairwell of the Houston County Historical, and that would be $18,201.68. Recommended carpet, $7,239.71. Right.
Yep, so we put in the budget this year to replace some flooring. So the flooring in the north stairwell of the historic courthouse is in really poor shape. We have all kinds of areas where it's taped up, just kind of trying to hold the stair treads together. So this is that first one for the north stairwell. That's to replace that with new vinyl flooring. The second one, the CCS lobby over at the public health building. That one's $8,000. That's where we put in the budget. So we looked at kind of how much we can get done with that. And essentially it's the main lobby and the office area with that. The two areas combined for $8,000. And then for the east stairwell, that's the one over here that is carpeted. We looked at that one for what it would cost to do a little bit of vinyl flooring in the rubber treads, or go to carpeting. So we got the quote on both options, and we would recommend going with the LVT and the rubber treading on that. $18,201.68. A lot easier to maintain, has a lot better durability and life expectancy.
Carpet can be a risk too.
And a carpet has to be replaced a lot more often than the LVT does.
Correct. And being that it's so close to the outdoor stair, or
It's gonna get ate up.
outside as well, the
Yeah.
the moisture and the dirt and everything coming in.
It's gross.
It is,
Sorry.
over the long run, it'll save us money.
Yeah.
It's all within the budget for the maintenance in that area?
Yep, so the budget, we put $100,000 in the budget for this building. So that'll be the two stairwells combined with this is just under 50,000, 49, just over 50,000. So about half of what we have in our budget for this building for that maintenance items. And then the CCS building, and the 8,000 is what we budgeted as well.
I'll make a motion to approve all three.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, considering approval of an updated ADA transition plan.
Yeah, so the county put together an ADA, Americans with Disability Act transition plan. This has been a requirement that got, the American Disability Act got enacted back on July 26th of 1990. It's a federal law that prohibits against discrimination against individuals on the basis of disability. So as part of the requirements, we need to have an ADA transition plan. The county put together a plan that the board approved back in on February 26, 2019. So the current plan was a little over 7 years old. The recommendation is to review and update the plan every 3 to 5 years. So we're a little bit beyond that. So Houston County and a lot of other counties are looking at their ADA and transition plans, making some updates. So over the last several years, we went from 4% of our handicap ramps within the county met full compliance with all the requirements with the ADA, Americans with Disability Act. Currently, our ramps are now at 47% compliance. So there's a lot of issues that go into those compliance and stuff. But we have made huge improvements with the upcoming projects in Houston, along with Caledonia coming forward. We look to be at 80% compliance here in the next few years. So this update essentially updates the amount of projects that we've done previously. It shows future projects in our next 5-year plan and kind of updates just some numbers of where we're at for compliance stuff. Nothing major that changed within this update. And then even though our transition plan is this thick, our support document that shows all of our assessment for the different ramps makes the entire document in a much thicker than what got submitted here for approval. This right here is Appendix A within that document. So there's nothing earth-shattering or major that's done in this. And then I can also point out that there has been some talk up at the state capitol stuff that starts requiring
updates on these plans and getting stuff into full compliance. So we're at a good shape as far as that goes. But it's something we keep constantly working on trying to improve.
All right, well, somebody want to make a motion to approve the update?
We need to do this. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, and thanks for staying on top of that. I know it's a
Yeah.
thick binder.
Okay.
Yeah, Brian.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Number 7 is gone. So now we will go through coordinator updates.
Okay, I got few things here. It's yesterday. Today's Tuesday. Yeah, yesterday, AMC legislative update. I attended online. Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Wright, I believe, was on there as well. Just talking about some of the state initiatives that are going on through the legislative process. A lot of unknowns at this time, but still monitoring some of the proposed law changes that are going to be coming down the pipe to affect us. Next Monday, we do have a department head meeting. That'll be 1:30 in this room, and I believe that is. Is it you again? Yeah, you too. So
I'll have to look at my calendar.
Yeah, I'll have to look at the calendar. I apologize. I don't know
that's
which
right.
commissioners are on that one. So.
I know I am. I looked.
Okay, sounds good. And then also, I kind of want to start coming up with a few projects. Obviously, it's April. We're a little too early to start thinking about our budgeting process coming up, but there's some stuff I kind of want to put into place to assist you in the budgeting process when that comes. One of the things I'm looking at is just kind of an overall county capital improvement plan, identifying all of our capital assets and to have like a future out of when those assets are scheduled to be replaced or should be replaced. I do think it kind of would help you budget kind of as the years go on and start tracking that into one document with all the departments. So I'll be reaching out to department heads shortly. I've talked to a few. Probably our biggest one will be obviously the Brian's department because he has the most probably capital assets on that. Another thing that I want to start looking into is kind of a strategic plan for the county. I know when I first became coordinator, I sent some emails out of having that. We have a comprehensive land use plan, which kind of gives vision of land use throughout the county, but the strategic plan kind of serves as a roadmap for operations and what initiatives we want to do, kind of a big picture document directing efforts and resources. And so if those are the things that you are wanting to have input in, which you will, if you want to start thinking about some of those things, probably what I'm going to do is this next work session kind of start those conversations and give you some examples of what is out there that other counties have so you can kind of see that. But I do think it's something that would be hugely beneficial for the commission and also to help plan for the future and budgeting. And those are all living documents that change quite a bit, but at least kind of help you as a guide on how you operate and make decisions. Real quick plug for this Saturday in Houston is the residential clean sweep event. That is 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the recycling center. I'll be there. I'm going to help volunteer. I kind of made the mistake of telling them to put me wherever they want to, so I'll be curious on where I end up.
And you don't even have to have Kurt talk to you about directing traffic. 'Cause
Nope.
You probably already know that.
Yep.
Well, you're in charge of.
Iowa is different than Minnesota.
Oh,
yeah.
oh dear, okay.
Yeah. Traffic patterns in Iowa are different for sure.
You're in charge
Drivers,
of lunch too,
yep.
Sure, I guess. Yeah, there we are.
Well, I thought Eric was buying lunch.
That's what you said, yeah.
I did say
Yeah,
that.
you did say that.
Yeah.
I just tried to get you off the hook.
Well, we can switch it to Brent. I don't care.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm sure it will come back to me. And then one more thing is we still have one more session for the Mayo Clinic Alzheimer's Disease Research Center in collaboration with our Houston County Public Health. This next session, session 3, demystifying aging and dementia research. That'll be April 23rd, which is in 2 days, 1 to 3 p.m. in the basement of the EOC. Is that correct? So that is the last session for that. And that is all I have. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, it's the basement of the Criminal Justice Center. Yeah, thanks for
Right across the
That way.
Justice Center.
the Justice Center. I felt
Now
the
we're
dagger
testing
from
him.
Carol's eyes when I said Criminal Justice
Yeah.
Center.
It's just a justice center.
It's just a Justice Center.
Okay, you all done? Or you got some?
Yep, nope, I'm good.
All right, I guess my turn. I really didn't have too much. I had kind of a busy week last week. And so I didn't get a lot of things taken care of, so I don't have a lot to talk about. There's a zoning meeting on Thursday night. If anybody has anything to update us on that or anything. Outside of that, I don't have anything else. How about you, Bob?
I didn't really have too much for extra meetings. I would want to point out, I appreciate all of the phone calls, emails, and text messages I got in the last 2 weeks. Some pretty good conversations with people, and I appreciate that, so thank you.
Good job, Bob.
Thank you.
Up to you, boss.
I also will say thank you for the emails. I appreciate that and a couple phone calls. It's good to hear from people. It really is. And that's who we represent. On the 13th, I had the ECB, Emergency Communication Board.
Thank you.
Just wanted to help out with that one. That was over in Rochester. We continued to work on, our grant funding was a little over 7 million for our mapping of our schools. This is a huge benefit to every community in our southeast region, with our ability to know pretty much exactly where something's happening in a school. With this mapping system through the company that is doing it, we have a tabletop workshop on Friday from 9 to 11:30. We're emergency communicators as well as law enforcement, EMS and firefighting. Our emergency manager from the county will be doing a tabletop with the new program. So it'll be a good learning experience for us. We had an airport meeting on the 15th. That went very well. If anybody has noticed, the new hangar is up and going. It looks, I live right by it, and I think it looks wonderful. They're really cruising right along, and even with the rainy weather we had, they got a good group out there working, so. Then obviously I'll be at the clean sweep on Saturday, looking forward to a good meal from Brent. It's gonna be nice. And that's all I have right now.
So on the airport hangar thing.
Yep.
Maybe that's a question for Brian, but have those been rented, leased out?
So we're working on that, and I believe 6 of them, right?
Yeah, no official signed leases at this point, but we've had requests for basically all of them. But we know that we have 5 or 6 full-time.
Confirmed.
Based out there, so a couple of them are maybe
So these are all new ones, or are they the ones that are already currently there?
one new plane.
But most of them are for the ones that were currently still already there. So they're just moving from the old ones to the new ones?
The front row, because it has to be tore down.
All of the front row?
Maybe not all of it.
Want to keep that big shed on the end.
There's a possibility that that could stay depending on the footprint and how the FAA lays out the new approach. Yes. So to be continued on that portion of it.
Well, it's a little disappointing to me to hear that it's just being filled with people we currently have. The idea was to build that for new people to come in and,
New revenue.
yeah, new business. So, but anyway, yeah, I sat in on the Zoom meeting for the AMC legislative ordinance, legislative updates. We got, 5 weeks left in the legislative session. Brought up a couple of things that are interesting for the county. There's still a lot of debate on whether the governor's proposal for DHS or whether the state's gonna do it or the counties are gonna do it, so,
Department of Homeland Security,
no.
or Human Services,
There you
excuse me.
go.
I'm just trying to help out. Just pick one.
People are listening, yep, heard that.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens here, if they're gonna have a bipartisan agreement at the end of the session or not, or if they're not gonna get anything done, so we'll see. Have a planning commission coming up this Thursday night. We got 3, I believe, on there that we have to look at. Also, last week I got a call from Rich Cordes of the Historical Society about the old historic jail. Asking about, they got a group of people, I saw Rich in the back, but it doesn't look like he's here now. You have a new group of people that wanna come and look at the old jail just to go walk through it again and see what could be done. And so I've contacted Brent about that and gave him his number, and to coordinate that, I believe it was gonna be in May 8th or something like that. So, just so you guys all know that this is going on and people wanna look at that, and
So,
if there's something they could do with that, that'd be great, so.
At least we got some interest in it.
Right. Yep. That's all I got.
It's your turn.
I heard that I was giving a presentation to the Historical Society on Sunday, and that came up at the end, that they said they were gonna contact the county and start talking about that, because there is some interest in, what's gonna happen to that, so that was a good thing, and that was a good session. We had about 50 in attendance. That was their first session for talking about National Registry places in Houston County, and one of their, just for public, one of their interest is to have other sites in Houston County be designated on the National Registry. My house is, that's why I was there talking about that, but there's very few, and I know they mentioned Fillmore County has 37 or something like that designations, but buildings and sites, and it has to have a historical significance, so you'll probably be hearing more about that in the future. Let's see, city council meeting, we kind of reiterated, I talked to La Crescent about, it was appreciated that they came to the township meeting and talked about the gravel bike national race, and to keep that communication going, through that time. And then, let's see, the Mayo Alzheimer disease research sessions have been excellent. I've attended the two out of the 3. Learned a lot. They have great presenters. The last one was a neurologist from Mayo that was doing, or talking about more of the clinical aspect, answering a lot of questions for the 30 to 50 people that have been attending. So that was a really good session. And one more this week on Thursday. Let's see what else. I had a Bluff Country HRA meeting, workforce development, and then I met with a group in La Crescent to talk about their concerns with Medicare and Medicaid, just the process and all of that. And they're in direct contact with our human services. Bethany and Karen have been helping them out. But a lot of our residents have some questions about the changes, especially with any legislative concerns that might be coming down the pike in the future. That was an interesting session, but it was just kind of an update, and nothing's final yet with the legislative activities, so we'll hang on to that. Hiawatha Valley Mental Health meeting last night. It was actually a very good session. They talk about their growth, and then also just some changes in making sure that areas in the county are supported. They have 5 counties that they cover right now. I think that's about it in the last week or so. That's all I have.
Okay, I got a couple more things here. This here is a zoning ordinance that Brent got us from Albuquerque County. Did you guys all get a copy
Yep.
of that? You guys wanna look them all over and maybe we can talk about it next week at our meeting? I haven't looked at it at all, so I don't.
This is a good one. It's pretty comprehensive compared to some of them. I like it. Heard about this one.
Well, I gotta look it over yet, so I mean, maybe we can talk about that next week. And I wanna thank all you people for your emails, and, I live on a gravel road that has 2,000 cow dairies. And so I know where you're coming from when you're talking dust. I got my air conditioner on and it never shuts off all summer. I can't hang no clothes outside. So I know where you're coming from.
Oh, the flies.
Flies, I don't have many of them because they don't stick around long enough.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any more closing public comment?
2 words, bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd just like to say something. Thank you for your support on this sand mine thing. You may not have seen the end of us, though, because we may want to do what Winona did and have a moratorium on all future sand mines. So we may be back again, but thank you very much.
Just what you want to hear, right?
Can you remind me of your name one more time? Oh, I'm sorry.
Donna Buckby, I came in here today feeling just speechless, which is very strange. But I can get out 3 words, and that is thank you all. Thank you.
I think I can speak for us all. We, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for voting this way. Thank you.
King Selby's coming out.
I want to add one thing to the board. Your vote today proved one thing. Democracy does work.
Yes. Can you restate your name, please? Sorry.
John Haynes.
Thanks. I should know by now, but I don't.
Robin Yaffe Shumper, actually. I just want to thank you for listening and for putting your phones down and your paying attention. It's really much appreciated. It's very hard to keep my phone in my purse, but it's situations like this, it's extremely important. Thank you.
All right, should we get out of here? Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Yep.
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 We're adjourned. Thank you all.